Are you forcing the kids to join the prayer though?
Absolutely not.
I mean,
No.
why would somebody be upset about that?
Well, and when we pray, we're just praying mostly for the health of our team. For everybody to end a game not being hurt and
safety and everything.
Exactly. I mean, we're not going out there and praise him, and
yeah, it's a general Lord watch over our kids, make sure everybody plays hard and plays healthy and doesn't get injured, and both teams, and positive message, right?
And being in the fight game, all of us obviously we've been pro, we've fought, we've coached, we've done all that stuff. So the thing that bothers me is every single fight that I've ever had, I prayed before my fight, whether it was silently or I've had. Like Gabe Charbonneau, he has his Filipino prayer that he gives every one of his fighters before they go out.
Before every fight, we get together and we circle up and we say a little prayer.
Right, and I
even had the Jewish guys in there praying with us.
Yeah, seriously, I was actually about to say the same thing. We, even if they're not all the same religion, it's all one.
Right.
So, I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, have you ever ran into a problem like that?
No, I never have. It is a smaller group. I can't say that I've ever done it with the kids, though. However, it's definitely something to open up my mind about and stuff like that. It just so happens that I've only ever done it for full contact type stuff, just because of the potential for injury. Like Mike was saying, you want to wish the safety onto both fighters, and I say it all the time. Dear Lord, please watch over both these competitors. Make sure they go out there, make sure there's no injuries. However, if you decide that one of them needs to get hurt, make sure it's our opponent.
Right.
So
that's actually what he says.
I do. It's all fine. I want both of them to stay safe. However, I want mine to stay safer.
Yeah. Well, it's a blood sport.
Just it is. Yeah, it truly is. And we'll come back onto my other thought on that. But praying and stuff like that, I can see it on both sides, and I see it. Yes, I pray. However, nobody needs to participate in it and stuff like that. And I would not cast someone aside if they decided not to. From the other side of that, if somebody was praying out of the Quran and somebody was on there, would a parent be upset about that, and would they be justified on that? I don't know. It's kind of a catch-22 on both. So as long as you're not mandating it for anyone, I think you're good to go, and it should be encouraged. It's one of those things that the pros and cons. There's no. What's the con to praying? Nothing. What's the pro to it? It could be a lot.
And it comes down to it's simply a positive message, a positive vibe being sent out to the team, and just everybody kind of joining together and sharing something right then and there that's positive.
Right.
And I don't see how anybody could be upset about that. I mean, I guess if you're an extremist, like he was saying, or your religion doesn't want anybody saying the word God or whatever the case may be, then sure. But still, at the same time, man, you're not forcing anybody to get in there and do it.
And I think it's one of those things that religion is a touchy subject. If you just prayed to the universe, please look over all these competitors type thing, I don't think anyone would have a problem with it.
No, somebody would. Somebody find a reason.
Well, you're probably right, but
you're a witch now.
My God lives in that other universe,
right.
Not this one.
Right.
So, but it's one of those things that people get offended very easily, you can see it all the time. They've got safe places on college campuses and stuff like that, and just because people are getting offended and stuff, and people are going to pick a reason just to not like what you're saying.
What do you think that is? What do you think is happening to where we're getting this generation or whatever? And we all sound like the old guys because every generation goes, the generation that's coming up now, or
it's the millennials, man.
Yeah,
I mean, straight up.
I mean, but what is your feeling? What is your thought process on why this is happening now?
Zero tolerance. Everybody wanted, and it started with the schools. This is my opinion. Okay, it started with the schools. Okay. We're not going to pay. Zero tolerance takes away any decision-making process. We have a zero tolerance policy, which means that we're just going to punish everybody. Okay, if you're involved in something, we're going to punish everybody. Okay, well, it wasn't his fault. Doesn't make a difference. We have a zero tolerance policy. So everybody gets on with that zero tolerance policy. They're going to get in trouble. Well, if we're going to get everyone in trouble, we need to So if everyone's getting in trouble, we need to reward everyone as well, and that's where you got all the participation awards, and everybody gets a gold medal. We don't keep score, that type of stuff that I'm sure you've seen in a lot of sports growing up, especially with your kids and everything coming up. That we don't keep score. Everybody gets a medal and stuff like that. Well, I'll tell you what, the kids are keeping score.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, the kids are recognizing who gets the medals and stuff like that. And, that's kind of what I go towards it. And that goes over into the adult life type thing. Heck, they've got people now that are being hired in human resources for businesses strictly to deal with millennials. And they're taking focus groups. And, I think that everybody should get a raise at the same time, no matter what, and all that stuff. So it's just, it's swinging to one way. I was just listening to somebody on the radio, and they were talking about every 40 years, things shift, okay, one way or the other. So over the course of 40 years, it shifts from one way all the way to this, and then it kind of comes back. So every 40 years, we're kind of right there in the middle. Then it shifts one way, and then shifts the other, and then we're right back in the middle again after all those years. So
where do you see it shifting? What do you think is going to happen with all of this?
I think it's shifting back to, not everybody gets a medal, all that stuff. It's kind of going back the ways of the 70s, because the 70s, that was it. That was the 40 years ago. We were right there. Then it started shifting back over to the everybody gets the award, and zero tolerance and everything along those lines. And now I think it's shifting back. I really do, because I get a lot of parents. I do my annual sumo wrestling tournament. One year, I had a parent convince me to give participation awards. After the third one, I'm like, all right, Mike Swade for participation. I'm like, this sucks. I'm never doing this again. And now I make a big deal out of it. And listen, we got divisions. The top 3 get a medal.
That's it.
If you weren't in the top 3, you got to train again harder and try again next year. And I've had so many parents come up to me and say, thank you. Thank you. That is so awesome that not everybody got a participation
Absolutely
thing. So I don't do it. And just seeing from the parents and everything like that coming up and saying, thank you, I appreciate you not doing that, they're starting to shift.
Yeah, it's crazy because I don't know. I mean, you talk to a lot of parents. You're in your business. You're involved with a lot of, people who are trying to bring up people in the right way, vanilla. And I don't know. I just don't. I lost my point. I totally forgot what I was going to say. But I think that I don't see very many people that are for the participation medals and for the everybody gets treated equally. I'm not sure where the hell it's coming from.
It depends on the realm, to be honest with you. Because if you're looking at like something like the business that I'm in with the group homes and stuff like that, the parents and the team, if you will, because every kid has its own team, they lean towards that. They want to lean towards, let's find every single positive thing this kid is doing and let's give them as much credit as possible. And if they had a trophy, they'd give it to the kid just to say, okay, we're proud of you just because you've came from way down here and now you're coming up way here. I get that. But if you're on football, like a team that I coached not so long ago, the head coach, he went out, every kid got their own trophy, just the team trophy. And then he went out and got trophies for every kid. And it was, okay, well, this trophy is for having the most positive attitude. And I'm like, why are you doing that? If you want to give like MVP trophies, give an MVP trophy. This kid was the best kid on the team. Cool. Let them know that. Okay, that gives the other kids something to strive for. You want to be an MVP, then you better go work your butt off instead of being in practice and kicking rocks and chasing butterflies and shit. But I mean, it depends on the realm, and that's the way I see it. If it's a group home thing and you got a kid that's just been kicked down over and over and over again, and he finally found his way and he's coming up, then I'm gonna give that trophy to him, to make him feel like, okay, it actually, you're doing something good. So keep going.
But again, that's one trophy to one set, to one child, as opposed to, hey, listen, this kid pulled himself up, so I'll give trophies to everybody. So again, you're kind of falling right back into, that's an MVP for that kid.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, does every kid have to be the best at what he does to be the most valuable? No. You know what? He just needs to, make sure he's striving for his best and everything like that. It's kind of like going back to the martial arts. Can everybody be a black belt? Yeah. Do they all have to be like Chuck Liddell or anything like that? No. Okay, because then that would take away every kid who's in a wheelchair. Could a kid in a wheelchair earn a black belt? Yeah. You know what? Why not? He strives to the best of his ability on what he can do. And I'm not sure if you guys agree or not.
Absolutely, I do.
No, I agree. And the way I see it, I mean, not everybody's going to be physically awesome as the next guy. We know that, and a lot of martial arts is the mental game. And taking the things that you're learning and not just saying, okay, I can kick that pad or I can kick you with the left kick and knock you out. It's, okay, well, where am I taking this as a person and how am I putting it towards my life to make myself better and make other people around me better? And what it goes down to is like back in the day, and I know you were probably the same way, when we were fighting in the tough mans and we were fighting at tequilas and fighting on all that shit, it was, we're going to fight anybody just because, and at that particular moment, we don't like you, and we're not learning anything. We're just there to cause trouble and to have fun.
And we were dumb young kids because you know what? That's what trainers are there for, to keep you from being a dumb young kid.
But we never had trainers back then.
Because fighters fight. You know
right.
what? That's all we do. I'll fight them.
Well, yeah.
We're just, you haven't been awake for 3 days. You know what? Yeah, I'll fight them. I'll take anyone. No,
but that's the difference, though. Back then, when all this stuff first started out, when you were doing the tough man, and all these local, just little bar scene, they pull the ring into the middle of the bar, and then it's time to go. Beat drunk people up all night.
Well, and it was the way you could get into a fist fight and beat the crap out of somebody without going to jail.
In trouble.
Right.
Yeah, and that's how it usually went. But back when I say back when, you're not even that old. But Gabe Charbonneau, Gabe Boperthy, all those people that, I mean, there was a close-knit thing, but was there really any coaches that were there to push that? Because a lot of times the guys that were doing it, like yourself, who grew up already knowing this stuff, same thing with Gabe, he had family ties, and Gabe Boperthy, who obviously was a great wrestler growing up in Sambo and everything else. So
we all kind of found our own way. I got real lucky in finding my trainer, Johnny Moncayo, 5-time world kickboxing champion, down out of New Mexico with Bill Packer's crew, who still has by far the best fight team name, Bad Company.
I love it.
I love that name.
Yeah, it is.
That's just the coolest fight team name. Anyways, I still take Johnny Mo's lessons to heart on everything. He's like, get in there. This man was 126 wins with 34 losses. Professional kickboxing.
Mm-hmm.
Insane record.
It's an insane record. You know what? And even and you know what? Nowadays, you get in there. Oh, he's got 34 losses. Really, 34 losses? Yeah, but he's got 126 wins.
Right.
Oh my God! Was this guy's just been fighting like every week? It's just unheard of. But it's just one of those things that he's amateurs. They're for development. Everybody gets so caught up on their record and stuff like that. Oh, and I'm 0-3, all that stuff. No, you got 3 fights of experience. You got 3 bouts. Mm-hmm. Just get in there, go into it. When the record starts counting, that's when you really have to pay attention to it and stuff like that. And that's in the pros. And fighting, to its detriment is one of those sports that, you don't get a do-over. Football, new season, everybody's 0-0. Okay, mm-hmm. Basketball, new season, everybody's 0-0. Fighting, that record stays with you your entire life. What was your record?
How do you feel about this? What is it? They're challenging their losses now, like in MMA and the UFC. There's like Holly Holm, she's trying to appeal
because she got hit too late.
Yeah, because she got hit after the bell and things like that. And then immediately after Holly did it, there was another fight that it happened to right away. I mean, it's bleeding over into everything. Like,
they've always been doing that. You could always contest the decision and stuff like that, and then the commission would review it and all that stuff. But you know what? That's not the commission's job. That's the sanctioning organization. And this kind of leads me into our segue into. Thank you, Mike, for a good segue. You know what? MMA. There's really no true sanctioning body about it. Okay, you got the UFC. But all that is a fight promotion. It's
organization,
You know,
right?
it's an organization. There is no sanctioning body specifically for the competitors that, you know what, ranks them and everything like that. If you piss Dana White off, you know, he can blackball you from the UFC, and where the hell are you going to go? But boxing's got the WBO, the WBA, the IBF, all that stuff, that they've got these sanctioning, or they've got these rankings and stuff like that. That, listen, you know, these are the rankings on this. If you're a number 2 fighter, I don't care who you piss off. You know what?